Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I will discuss the return on capital employed. It is commonly called ROCE. ROCE is a very well-known ratio. Before I tell you what ROCE means, it will be helpful if you look at the formula, and then the meaning of the ROCE would be pretty obvious after looking at that. ROCE is operating profit divided by share capital and reserves plus long-term debt. Operating profit is a figure which is given in the income statement. It is also called profit before interest and tax. So you should be aware that operating profit and profit before interest and tax are the same thing. This figure is then divided by share capital plus long-term reserve, which is basically total equity figure given in the balance sheet. There will always be a total equity figure in the balance sheet, so that figure can be picked up from there. The long-term loan is a bit more complicated area. Long-term loans are also called borrowings, or debt, or debentures, or loan notes. This figure will be available in the balance sheet. When you look at the balance sheet in the non-current liabilities, this is something which you need to investigate, that what are the figures which fall under long-term debt or long-term loans. A bit of reading would be required. So the problem here is that not all of the non-current liabilities are actually liabilities. In that section, most of the items are provisions. So you need to do a bit of research to find out what is the actual wording and the figure for the loan is. The second problem for the non-current liabilities is that some of that non-current liability is also given in the current liability, and the reason for that is that normally the non-current loans are the loans which we have to pay in the long term after 12 months. However, when you have taken the loan, some part of the loan would be due to be repaid in the next 12 months, so it would also be given in the current liabilities. So you should look there as well. The logic in the ROCE formula is that we make profit and then we divide it by all the capital which was invested to make that profit. The capital employed comes from two sources. One is equity, which is the shareholders' money, and other one is debt. So what happens when business starts, they need this kind of money to invest in the non-current assets of the businesses. So these two elements, equity and the non-current debt or the long-term debt, they are spent on the non-current assets, and they are supposed to be producing revenues. The current assets are not used for that purpose. So I hope the purpose of the return on capital employed makes sense. The higher this figure is, the better it is. In calculating ratios, the main task is to locate and extract the figures which are needed by the ratios formulas. So for example, looking at return on capital employed, we can see that the formula is operating profit divided by share capital and reserves plus long-term loans times 100%. So 100% is just to convert the result into a percentage. So the job here is that we locate all of these figures. So we need to know where these figures are. So that's what I will explain in this video, and then I will locate and extract those figures, and then I will use those figures to calculate the result. So let's find out, first of all, our operating profit, guys. Operating profit is a figure which is available in the income statement. While we are calculating ratios, they're actually making us go into the financial statements and look for each figures one by one. So we will understand each statements as well by doing these ratios. So first of all, guys, we need to locate operating profit. Operating profit will be given in the income statement, and income statement is available on. I have crossed the first two columns. So the income statement in front of you guys,
you can see that there are descriptions on the left hand side, then there are notes, and I will explain what that means. And then there are 6 columns, 3 for 2018 and 3 for 2017. To get good marks, you need to do at least 3 years. So we don't need the first 2 columns for each year. We only look at 2018 total columns for both. So what we need, first of all, we need an operating profit figure. And as you can see that I have highlighted operating profit, and operating profit for 2018 is 156.5 million pounds. It's a positive figure. Positive figure is a good thing. And for 2017 is 253.2 million pounds. So that is one figure which we needed for our formula. So the next thing which we need to look at is share capital and reserves and long-term borrowings or long-term loans. These are 2 figures are available in the balance sheet. So I'll go to my next page, which is balance sheet or statement of financial position. There are 2 columns, 18 and 17, and the thing, share capital and reserves is basically means total equity. Okay, you can see here the figure of share capital, and everything else here is called reserves. Okay, so the total is equity, and these are the figures which we need: 2954.2 and 3,150.4 million. Equity is normally very easy to locate. It's clearly given in statement of financial position. The problem is with the borrowings. The borrowings are, first thing is that borrowings, there are different wording, or loans are different wordings are used. So first of all, you have to read. So the first thing you need to go is to go to the non-current liabilities and look at all of these liabilities which are given in this area. Almost all of them are not actually liabilities. They are called provisions, which are like liabilities but not really a liability. Like, you don't really have to pay them, except the item for borrowings or loans. Okay, and in this case, Marks and Spencer calls loans as borrowings, and I have highlighted this figure. These are the figures which we should note down. We will use them in the formula. And another problem with the borrowings is that sometimes the borrowings are also given in the current liabilities as well. And the reason is, although for the ROCE, you should always use long-term loans or long-term borrowings. However, why we are picking figures from current liabilities? Because current liabilities are 12 months. They are not long, they're short. And the reason is that if you take a loan for 5 years, when you start paying it in the next 12 months, it will become a current. That part would become current. So you borrowed 5 million, and then you need to pay 1 million. So you borrowed 5 million for 5 years. So the first 1 million you need to pay after 12 months. That 1 million is a current liability, although you took it as a non-current liability. Basically, you don't use borrowings on the basis of name, but you use the borrowing on the basis of why they were taken. And the long-term borrowings are actually taken to be invested in the non-current assets. So even though some of that borrowing sits in the current liabilities, but because those borrowings were used to finance non-current assets, they should be used in return in ROCE. So I'll pick up the figure from the current liabilities as well, which is borrowings and other financial liabilities, and I'll pick these two figures up. And I will scroll this formula. Operating profit. And it also wants us to have equity plus long-term loans, borrowings, whatever you want to call it. The operating profit we noted was 156.5, and the equity we noted was 2954.2, plus the long-term borrowing we noted were 1670.6, plus the long-term borrowings in the current liabilities are 125.6. So we got this, and we can put workings for 2017-2. So 253.2 divided by 3150.4 plus 1711.7 plus 518. And we can solve this now. 156.5 divided by, brackets open, 2954.5 plus 1670.6. 518. It was an easy way of doing it, but I did it for the sake of comprehension. Next time I'll do the quick way. So if I press enter, it will give me the result 3.04. It was giving me a figure like this. 1 minute. A number. It was giving me a figure like this, but what I did, I converted it into a percentage, and now I have 3.04. Now for 2017, this figure divided by the values 3150.4 plus 1711.7 plus 518, brackets closed, and 4.71. I have calculated ROCE for Marks and Spencer for 2 years, and this shows that ROCE for M&S has declined or deteriorated in the last year or two, from 2017 to 2018, which is a bad thing. So that is understanding of the results. Okay, that means the profit has gone down, the performance in this area has deteriorated. You can also do a bit more analysis at this stage, and that is calculating an overall trend, and that could be done by taking the difference of the first year and the last year. In this case, there are only two, but if you have three, then you pick 2018 and 2020. So in this case, it's simple. I'll pick my base. Base is always the earliest year, 2018 in your case, minus 2018 divided by base 4.7%, press enter, and you get this really crazy number. And the reason for that is that we didn't use brackets. So let's put brackets there, and we have slightly less crazy number. But what we can do, if we reduce the decimal places, it will look less crazy number. And this shows that the ROCE has decreased by 35% over the year, which is quite a significant drop. What next to be done after doing this? Obviously, this is basic. The next thing you would do is pick up a competitor and calculate ROCE for that, and then make the comparison and see how your company is performing in comparison to a competitor or industry averages. So it could be the case that Marks and Spencer ROCE has decreased by 35%, but maybe the competitor's ROCE has decreased by 50%. So that means Marks and Spencer is doing much better than its competitors. Or maybe competitors' ROCE has decreased by only 10%, or maybe it increased. So that means Marks and Spencer is doing far worse than its competitors. The last stage of analysis is to find the reason for this, and that needs quite a bit of research. For that, normally you need to look at all of the numbers involved in the ratio, and then look at each figure to see which figure has impacted on the change in the result. So that is something which you need to figure out yourself. That was ROCE, guys.
Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you like it, and if you do, please give it a thumb up and share it with your friends, and do subscribe to my channel where I release regular videos on accounting and finance subject. Thank you.